Looking ahead to November 8th, a relatively overlooked voting demographic is getting a big push to make themselves heard. The New Mexico Black Voters Collaborative is partnering with more than a dozen nonpartisan groups to educate and encourage Black people to get out and vote. Earlier this week, I spoke with two representatives from that group and two more key figures in New Mexico's African American community to see why they believe their voices could make a significant difference on Election Day. I want to start with Mason Graham with the New Mexico Black Voters Collaborative. Mason, thank you very much for joining us. And for all the folks out here, we'll introduce you one at a time as we go along here. Mason, what was the impetus for the New Mexico Black Voters Collaborative to start this process in the first place? What was going on out there that made the group decide that this effort was worth having?
Well, this was, thank you, Gene, for having us. And this was an effort that was brought to us by Dr. Harold Bailey from the Albuquerque branch of the NAACP. As one of the only Black-led voting rights organizations here in the state, it's extremely important for us to make sure that we're getting out the message for people to know that the election is coming up. This general election is going to be a very pivotal election, as we all know. We have some very important issues that have come to light this last election season, and we really want to encourage folks to participate, educate themselves, and get out the vote.
Gotcha. Appreciate that. And the previously mentioned Dr. Harold Bailey. Doc, always good to have you. Tell the importance of having an NAACP in this effort. Talk to us about that as well.
Well, the organization has always, historically speaking, has always been involved as far as getting Black people registered to vote and people of color and women. And so this is just a concerted effort of a lot of groups to come together to make sure that young people and young adults get the opportunity to understand how important it is to vote in November elections. And, Dr. Becknell contacted me initially with this idea to try to formulate a coalition statewide, and he came up with the numbers. And I contacted Ms. Kathy McGill at the New Mexico Black Leadership Council, and therefore I ran into Mr. Graham. So it's a nice collection of individuals.
Oh, without saying, which brings us to Dr. Becknell. Appreciate your being with us. I know you're very busy, Reverend Becknell. Dr. Charles Becknell Sr. specifically, from the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, one of the oldest civil rights organizations, of course, in the United States. So let's get to what Dr. Bailey just mentioned, Reverend, that, the impetus to do this in the first place. What was the big driver for you to start this process?
Well, the big driver for me was I have lived in New Mexico all my life. And I remember back in the day when politicians would come into our segregated community in Hobbs, and they would pass out their literature. They would have barbecue and watermelon and beer and stuff, and then they would disappear.
Right.
But it told me about the significance of the Black vote in New Mexico. Now, I put together some numbers, and we are a sleeping giant. Let me just tell you about this.
Please.
The numbers in Las Cruces, we could turn 300 votes. Clovis, 500. Belen, 300. Gallup, 200. All across. See, in a local election, we may not make a difference. They may look at the numbers and say, oh, you're only 5%, so you can't make a difference. But when we look at a statewide election, and all of these numbers from these various communities conservatively come up with about 10,000 votes. Now tell me that wouldn't make a difference in an election. They tend to forget about us. And we need to stand tall because 10,000 votes gives us dignity in this state.
If there can be a demonstrable point at some point that somebody either won or lost directly from the Black vote, the whole thing's going to change. It'll be like a domino falling over. You know what I mean? The rest of them will just follow. Rodney, sorry to make you sit a little bit there.
No problem at all.
Mexico Black Voters Collaborative, really appreciate your time for sure. All things have to happen on the ground, though. There's organization, there's outreach, there's getting things going. I'm curious how the collaborative is reaching out to places. I mean, it's a big old state. You got to reach down to Hobbs and Silver, and so how's that working on the ground, and what's the plan?
We have an untapped power in the state of New Mexico, and it is the Black vote. And we have foot soldiers like Mason Graham, who is really reaching out to the community, making sure that we are educating entities around the Black vote, pulling in our allies, making sure that we are educating the generations. We have to tie in and make sure, and a big thanks to Dr. Harold Bailey and Dr. Charles Becknell for pulling this together, but we have to pull in not only Blacks in this effort, but we have to pull in our allies to make sure that the Black voice is heard. And so again, with foot soldiers like Mason Graham, pulling in different entities and making sure that we are all talking and collaborating together, we have an untapped power source in the Black vote.
Mason, that brings us to the open letter that the organization has sent out. Tell us about that, who it's for, and then also the Rodney just mentioned the organizations that have come on board as well. We want to make sure we cover those folks too. But starting with the letter, who's the letter for? What's the letter about, and who is it for?
So our open letter is a collaboration between about 20 organizations that are all focused on civic engagement.
Mhm.
And the letter is for the general public, especially for our youth voters and our person of color voters. In that letter, we're identifying some of the big issues that are facing voters right now. You know, there's a huge misinformation campaign that has continued since the 2020 election, even as early as the 2016 election, that has created a lot of apathy within not just the Black community, but in the youth voters as well. And a lot of people are coming into these elections thinking that their vote might not count. With some of the policy changes that we've seen at the federal level, centered around some of these big issues, for instance, like the overturning of Roe v. Wade. We want to make a direct correlation between the power that you have as a voter to those type of issues being addressed. And so in this open letter, we engage with some of the organizations that we work closely with that also have a shared interest in making sure that people get out to vote and that they understand that these kinds of problems directly affect you if you do or do not go out to vote.
Dr. Bailey, we've covered on New Mexico PBS any number of issues over the years that affect, of course, the Black community, all of us in New Mexico, but specifically the Black community. I'll start with healthcare. And the reason I bring up an issue area is, is the organization going to be making asks of politicians in certain issue areas like healthcare to get a feel for where they are when it comes to the Black community? Is that part of the plan as well?
Yeah, healthcare, most certainly is that's high on the list, just like education. So we want to hold all the department heads accountable and responsible to all the citizens in the great state of New Mexico. And just to add on to, I think what Brother Bo said, is that not only do we want to register young Black voters and young Black voters, we want to have a coalition of women, the Latinos, Native Americans, all types of groups, because our democracy is under attack. White supremacist ideological, is infiltrating our political system. So we have to make sure that we meet these efforts with proportionate force.
Rodney, pick up on that if you would. It's 10,000 is a big number in New Mexico. I mean, how do we get this across to people, basically, that there's power in numbers,
One of the things with the New Mexico Black Voters Collaborative, we are a nonpartisan group, bringing in, again, groups that are really looking to influence and to move the Black vote. My co-chair is Marjorie Germain, and we have been working along with Mason to really not look at the politicians per se, but look at the issues at hand. Healthcare is one of the biggest issues that impacts us all in this state. We have dramatic marginalization in the healthcare in the state for Blacks. And so that is one issue. Also, the education, we need to pay more attention in educating those in our own backyard, our youth, as well as those returning citizens coming from the incarcerated populations. We need to make sure that they are taken care of when they come back into our community. We need to make sure that we have a pathway to the university systems here in New Mexico for our young Black youth. So those are some of the issues that we are looking at and addressing. We want to make sure that people are educated, but the most important piece is that you value your vote, you get out and vote. And if you can, vote early, because your vote is going to make a difference.